G'day everyone. In this video I'm going to show you feeding our big tanks of fish. We've got American cichlids, African cichlids and some goldfish. So I'm going to show you some frozen bloodworms. I'm going to cut them up, take them up and give you a look at them eating them. Rightio, let's get to it. So the bloodworm just comes in a blister pack. This is just how I prefer to do it. Cut it up a little bit before I put it in the tank. This one's a bit thinner. It's still in a blister pack. So just break that up. Before you do this for your fish, you should wash your hands to make sure you're not getting any contaminants on it, just in case you've touched any detergent or poisons of any kind. Or if you're a smoker too, if you smoke cigarettes, you shouldn't be handling your fish food if you've got nicotine on your fingers. I've got some pretty big cichlids up in that tank, so some of these I'll leave nice and big. Just snap them in half maybe, and that'll give the big fellas something to chomp on. Some of my tiger oscars up there are about 12 to 14 inches long. Now when this hits the water it'll start, providing they don't chomp it straight away, if it sits on the water for a little while it'll start to defrost and melt, and all the tiny little bloodworms will break out and give the fish a chance to feed on them. I've seen people do this a couple of different ways. Some people will actually get a cup of lukewarm water and sit the whole block in it and let it dissolve into tiny little bloodworms, and then they'll just tip it all in. So you can do that, especially if you've got smaller fish. If you've got little fish that you want to feed, that's probably a better way of doing it. Or you can even just throw a whole big block like that on top of the water and it'll just dissolve in the tank and drop down and they'll feed on it that way. But this is how I prefer to do it anyway. I don't think it really makes a big difference, it's just my preference. Now I don't feed them this all the time. I feed it to them maybe twice a week at most, just as a bit of a treat. They do also have pellets, flakes, other dry foods, but I like to try and give them a little bit of bloodworm every now and again too. Okay, that's all ready to go. We'll see how far that amount there goes. A couple of good handfuls and we'll take that up. See how they love it. Let's go and have a look. So we take it from the freezer, get it ready and then take it up to the fish tanks. Show me a fish impression. Quick impression of a fish.
Or how do you...
Oh, you're a goldfish. That was my baby fish Faron, and here's my fish impression. Hey, we're up in the fish room now. I brought the bloodworms up and I'm going to give some to the goldfish first. A lot of people don't think of goldfish when you think of feeding bloodworms, shrimp, live food, all that sort of stuff. And a goldfish will, like most fish, eat anything that can fit in its mouth. So have a look how they go when we give them a bit of bloodworms. I'll spin the camera around and you can have a look in the goldfish tank. That tank these goldfish are in is about 5 foot long by 1.5 foot deep and 1 foot across. So that works out to roughly, I'm trying to convert it in my head, I think it'd be 110 gallon. So the goldfish really like it in that tank. They've been doing well. Got a few nice ones in there. There we go, that's the goldfish with some bloodworms. I'll move to the next tank, which is some American cichlids. Okay, so in this tank I've got a green Texas, 3 Jack Dempseys, a gold Severum, and a little convict. So the smallest one with the stripes, that's the convict. The Jack Dempseys are the black and blue ones with a little bit of stripe and a dot. The green Texas is the nice pretty blue one there with dots all around the front of its head. And the nice big pale coloured one is the gold Severum. I've had these 3 Jack Dempseys. One, the big male, likes to hide out in those pipes there. You can see him down the bottom. Hopefully he'll come out once I put some bloodworms in there. Oh, there he is. That's the male Jack Dempsey, just went underneath the gold Severum. Now this is a very special little tank, this one. This is my breeding tank for my breeding pair of albino convicts. But I'll put some bloodworms in and we'll see what happens. Next in line is their last lot of babies. Now, the last lot of babies they had are starting to get quite big. And next, after those little babies, we have some big fellas. In this tank I've got a couple of tiger Oscars. One's a normal tiger Oscar, that's the black and orange. The other is an albino tiger Oscar, and she's also a long fin. Then I've got a very large Bala shark in there, or a silver shark. Now they're not a real shark, they're not part of the shark family. They call them Bala or silver sharks because of their shape. And then also in the bottom of the tank somewhere we might be able to find the albino sailfin pleco. And then also we've got a couple of the baby albino convicts kicking around in there too. This is one of my bigger tanks. It's 6 foot by 2 foot by 18 inches. So this tank is about 130, 140 gallons roughly. Got the nice big tiger Oscar there on the top of the screen. The Bala shark under the log at the moment. And then on that side we have the longfin Oscar. And now I'll go across to my last tank, which is African cichlids. That's these guys here. In here I've got a colony of electric yellow and a colony of 6-bar frontosia. So again, this is another big tank. It's 6 foot by 2 foot by a foot, I think. And so it's about 130 gallons too. I've got a nice big stack of rocks and corals there. So it's got tunnels and little hidey holes in there in case they have babies, so they can keep them safe. Internal filter on that end, a sponge filter in the middle. It's got an external filter under the cabinet that runs into the water as well, and up this end we've got driftwood and a few more hidey holes, some plants. So that's 6-bar frontosia, electric yellows, and that's my only African cichlid tank. The electric yellow is straight onto it. Now here come the 6-bar frontosia. They've got the smell of that bloodworm in the water and they're coming to find it. That's the alpha male up top there with the biggest lump on his head. Hey, I'm back in the house after feeding the fish. That went really well. They love those bloodworms. Make sure you let me know in comments if you've got fish, what you've got, and what you feed them. I usually give mine pellets, but I try to give them bloodworms or something like frozen shrimp brine, that sort of thing, at least once or twice a week, just for a treat. Okay, thanks again for joining me. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, give me a thumbs up, leave comments, and take time for the simple joys. See you later, everyone. Bye.